my channel. I'm going to be helping you make kombucha at home, so you'll be saving tons of money on your daily kombucha expenses, because I know before I started home brewing that I was spending up to $30 a week on kombucha, as like the most expensive kombucha I would get to treat myself was like $4 or $5, and the least expensive would be like $2.50, and that's like a lot of money over time, just because of the amazing benefits that kombucha has, such as digestive health and joint relief. So we'll be jumping into how to homebrew with a SCOBY, and I'll be doing the first and second fermentation and going through what that process looks like. So stick around and maybe you'll learn something. And if you already homebrew, here's some other techniques that you could try. And if you really want to revamp your system for homebrewing, I'll help you with that, and I'll be answering a few of my most asked questions by my friends who watch me homebrew all the time. So just a little bit about me, since this is my first kombucha homebrewing episode. I started homebrewing about a month ago, so I'm not a professional. I have just read so many blogs and so many instructions on how to make kombucha, and I kind of compiled everything that I've learned from these blogs and internet sources and then my close friends, and I will teach you how to customize your kombucha, as well as my favorite tools to use and my favorite fruit, and how long I do kombucha. So stay tuned for some Booch. So this is my my first fermentation process. You see my SCOBY is up here. It's about a ½ inch thick, and every time I do a fermentation, another SCOBY will form below it, and I just peel that away and put it in my SCOBY Hotel over here, which has approximately 2 cups of starter tea. And a SCOBY Hotel is a great way to store SCOBY, so you can share with your friends, or just keep the SCOBY in here clean. So you can keep SCOBY Hotels up to like a year or so, I think. And so right now I have like 1 SCOBY in there because I gave away 2. So yeah. And you see I have it, my home brewing my first fermentation covered in cloth, wrapped by a rubber band. So that came with this jar on Amazon, and so that was really helpful. But this I like for my fermentation one because I can spit it out this side if I want to fill it up. So we're going to get started with a second fermentation, and then we'll back up into the first fermentation. So you can skip ahead if you need to learn how to do the first fermentation. So for the second fermentation, you're going to need a few ingredients. First, your kombucha from your first fermentation. You're going to need fruit, fresh fruit or frozen fruit, and so I have an orange and blueberries here because I really like orange blueberry kombucha. You're gonna need some bottles. So this flip top bottle is really nice because second fermentation is all about carbonating, and it's really easy to use. You just flip it up there and then you close it, but you gotta make sure it's like flat on there. So you know, these are nice, except I find that I have to burp these, and I'll tell you what burping is after. But they explode very easily. So I also have my old kombucha bottles, and so these kind of protect your kombucha from the sun. So if you want to have it out on the desk or something, you can use, these are the Kavita bottles, so I just took off the label, and they're really great for sealing, but you want your kombucha bottle to be like airtight. So you see, these are spinning bottles, and so I just make sure I tighten them as much as possible. So I'm also going to need a blender. So I have my NutriBullet and my blender bottle and the blender spinny thingy. I don't know what to call that. But you're going to need a blender in order to mix up your fresh fruit, or you can use fruit juice. So I really like mango fruit juice and orange juice, and that really like gives it a lot of vitamins. And in the second fermentation, you have to have fruit so that the bacteria, the SCOBY the little particles in the SCOBY have some fruit to munch on, and that creates the carbonation, and the pressure builds up because it's sealed. So you really do need some sort of sugar, fruit. So let's get started. So here I have washed blueberries, fresh washed blueberries, and I have some starter fluid. So I have the kombucha just a little bit because it will get bigger, and I put a bit of blueberries in there. I'm gonna seal this up, and I can begin. That once I blend it, it naturally carbonates, so you really have to be careful. Clearly I've gotten out another cloth so that I could fix the spills, but you see the separation with the carbonation from blending it. So I'm just going to return this back to the kombucha cup. And then I'm going to add some more fresh kombucha on top of that. So clearly we have a little bit of a mess, but kombucha is about fixing the mess, huh? So here we go, and we can take this and add more booch. I do it about a finger from the top, so you can see it's nice and full, and so we can take our cap and we're going to make sure it's on there as tightly as possible. Okay, so we have our second fermentation. That was kind of weird. So we can start that now, and you see we do need to fill this back up, so we'll do our first fermentation next, and I will finish the blueberries and the oranges. So BRB. So I filled up 3 of them, and this one is just blueberries, and these 2 are a mixture of blueberry and orange. So I mixed the blueberries and the orange in the blender with very little kombucha, just so it wouldn't carbonate as much in the blender, and I filled them up. I filled this one up less because this one seems to carbonate a lot faster, and so we'll leave them at room temperature, away from direct sunlight. So I'm not going to put them over here. I'm going to put them in the cupboard probably, just because I think that it's better out of the way because they're glass and I tend to break things, and if they're in the cupboard I can't really break them. So we're going to move on to the first fermentation. So we have green tea. My SCOBY really likes green tea, so I just use the Lipton green tea. It probably has a lot of chemicals in it, but I'm not super concerned about that. But if you are, I would venture off to find a different green tea. I just got the cheapest one at the grocery store, just because I'm not that concerned. But of course some people are, so you do you, really. So we are going to be we're going to be removing the cloth and the rubber band, and that was pretty easy. I put this back under here so it doesn't drip. But you see my SCOBY is beautiful down there. And so we have this, it's not room temperature yet, but so what we're going to do is we have two different kinds of sugar. So I have raw cane sugar and pure cane sugar, and it's granulated. So I'm fine with using either one of these. Some people are a little more picky, but whichever one is cheaper I would get. I got this one on Amazon. I think it's a 4-pound canister, so that'll last a long time, and this one's 3 pounds, so a little bit less, but you can always use a mixture of the two, or just one or the other, or just another granulated sugar, white sugar, whatever you want, really. But so I have 2 tea bags for this blender bottle of hot tea, and I'm getting it to room temperature, and once it's room temperature I'll put it in the kombucha first fermentation glassware, and so I'm going to go ahead and put the sugar in. So I don't really measure, I just kind of like go until it feels right, but I'm pretty sure you're supposed to do like a cup of sugar per batch, but I do about however much I feel is right. So this is probably nowhere near a cup, but this is so the SCOBY can eat the sugar and then ferment the beverage. So clearly the SCOBY likes it because it's bubbling, but if you use the wrong sugar, or like you try and use syrup or something, the SCOBY's not really going to like it as much, and it's going to take either longer to ferment or a shorter time, and it's just not going to do it as well, so the quality might not be as good, but so there's a little bit of sugar on top. You see that SCOBY is really excited, and so since I have regular room temperature tea in there, I'm just gonna go ahead and pour this because it'll be okay. Sometimes I'll make my tea a whole day before, and that's pretty fun, but make sure your hands are clean if you feel like touching your SCOBY, because that's really important. I feel like mine has something green on it. It's weird. Well, I hope it's okay. I hope that's not mold. Do you see that right there? It's green. It might be mold. Weird. But yeah, I'll just let the SCOBY enjoy its new environment, and it might float to the top. Mine does, but if yours doesn't, don't freak out. Mine didn't for the first couple of brews. But yeah, so the good thing is I'm not too worried about this mold right here, just because I have a whole nother SCOBY I can use if this one dies, so that's not really a worrying factor for me. But if your first SCOBY dies, that's fine. You just need to like find a friend who has an extra SCOBY for you to use, or wait a little bit and then pick up their extra SCOBY, because all SCOBYs are pretty chill, I suppose. So this, I'm gonna wait about 7 days before I use it to do the second fermentation. So I'll put the cloth back on here and secure it with the rubber band, and then I'll wait 7 days, and then it'll be ready. That's just like the taste I like with this particular tea, and the amount of sugar I put in it. A lot of people wait 12 to 25 days, but I prefer my kombucha to be sweeter, and I do the second fermentation, which has an impact on the tartness because it does do an extra 3 days of fermentation. So, however you like your the sour taste of your kombucha, that depends on how long you're gonna wait for it to ferment after its first fermentation. So good luck. So that was my take on how to do the first and second fermentation in opposite order. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I am not a pro at this, but this is my recipe for kombucha, and if you really like it, go ahead and give it a like, and share with your friends, because home brewing is the best, and it's really, really fun, and getting to share this experience with your bros is really fun, and I get to provide my friends with kombucha all the time. So consider it, and I really hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you. Bye.